Welcome to the Celebrate a Sister podcast. I'm your host, Emma Walkinshaw, author, body confidence coach, and founder of The Embodied Woman and 21 Minutes of Morning Magic. You'll also find me on the yoga mat hosting retreats here in Australia and internationally. Each week, I chat with incredible women around self-belief, body acceptance, and embracing who we are, especially in midlife. We share real stories, challenge outdated beauty standards, and grow together through honest conversations. I am so glad you are here. Enjoy. Welcome to this week's episode of Celebrate a Sister podcast. I am your host, Emma Walkinshaw, and I am delighted you found me. If you do enjoy my episodes or you do enjoy this episode, I would be ever so grateful if you wrote a review. That would be fabulous. If you shared it with somebody that you think might like it, that would be fabulous too. So thank you so much. Yes, this week's topic is the 7 truths about midlife that no one told me. And I feel reasons why perhaps I've been stuck as well. From time to time, I would describe that I felt quite stuck. And on my reflection of my midlife journey, here's some little areas that I came up with that has contributed perhaps to my stuckness, or things that I didn't know were going to unfold or I would feel this way. And I guess that's the joy of getting to midlife and having the wisdom per se, or not the wisdom, and going, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. So it's a little bit of both. But the first one that came up for me was the heartache, the loss and the grief that I have experienced. And it's on a few different levels. And I'm not talking grief and loss in the sense of death, although, you know, grief and loss, we have death of things, don't we? It's not necessarily a physical person per se. It is experiences and ideals. And for me, identity. So the loss and grief and the heartache that I did not expect, you might have heard me talk about this on previous podcasts, was my children. Firstly, my youngest child, Sunny, finishing school 3 years ago. I didn't expect to feel the heartache and the grief there. I didn't expect to feel the grief and the heartache when they both moved out of home, when Ruby and Sunny moved out of home. So that took me by surprise. You know, I always thought, oh, I'll be happy when they move out. It's good for them. But then when the day actually comes, it was quite sad for me. And I guess part of me, it's almost like that feeling of being invincible. I kept thinking, oh, they'll be here until they're 30. Like I just assumed that. But my husband and I often say, well, we must have done a good job because they moved out and they're very happy and wonderfully functioning adult humans. And I do feel the flip side of the grief and the loss and them moving out, I do feel like the flip side for me has been a better quality relationship with both of them now, because when they lived at home, I was riding their ass a lot, like clean your room, that kind of naggy energy. Whereas with them out of home now, because we don't have that or I don't have that to whinge about anymore, there's a really lovely qualityness of us having a conversation now. We talk about all of the wonderful things, and I see them around twice a week, which is wonderful. So the conversation's always really relevant to what's happening in their life and mine. The other thing that I didn't realize would happen too, because I'm not seeing them every day and they're out in the big wide world and they are experiencing other people, places and things, I feel like it's a little reintroduction to them each week. Like when I get to know them, like Sunny will learn something new, Ruby will have a different opinion about something. And I do really enjoy that. The other day I met with them and we took a walk. We walked the dogs and I was just basking in hearing them talk about their lives and their views and their opinions. And I thought, oh my gosh, these two are incredible human beings. So that's been lovely. But I will say, in my lonely times, in my little down times when I'm sitting at the kitchen bench eating by myself, because Husboss is out and about or he's still working at a meeting or whatever's happening in his life, I will go, oh, I just miss the kids. I miss that energy. So that is one little midlife truth that I was not expecting. The other part of this loss and grief is around my nieces and nephews moving away. So every celebration, I think, because Easter is really, really close, and I only have one brother, and my brother and his wife, though, thankfully blessed me with a lot of nieces and nephews. So they had 7 children, which is just so wonderful, having just one brother and then having 7 beautiful nieces and nephews, which is great. But they have all chosen to move overseas, which is wonderful. We went to visit them and it's been just delightful. But coming up to Easter, every special occasion, Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and birthdays, and because there's so many nieces and nephews, there was always a birthday. And then my 2 children, always a birthday. So it has been just this realization that I didn't realize my nieces and nephews, like my children, would go and spread their wings. I mean, yes, I knew it in my mind, but my heart didn't realize. My heart didn't realize. And that has been the heartache. And it's all wonderful and exciting and brilliant. But also, there's a part of me that is like, oh, those summers went by really, really quick. And you might have heard this rolling around, the TikTok or the gram at the moment, talking about how many summers have we got left. And I alluded to it a few podcasts ago. How many summers have I got left? And maybe if I live to 80, I've got 36 summers left. No, 36, that's not right, is it? Because I'm 49. 50, 60, I don't know. Yeah, however many summers, but it's like around the 30 mark. I'm not very good at maths. And I think about even my nieces and nephews, how many summers, and my children, how many did I get with them? So I just wasn't expecting it. It's not a mental thing. It's a real heart-centered yearning and grief that I'm feeling. Also reflecting, I was thinking about the house my children used to visit their grandparents in, and this is on my husband's side, and husboss's mum is now in a nursing home, and his father's passed. And the house that my children used to go to in Tweed Heads, which was on the water and a beautiful sandy beach out the back and just divine. And I didn't realize in my heart that someday would go, that I would not be watching my beautiful children play on that little beach out the back and watch dolphins go by and all of those beautiful summers and events that we had there. So that was another little realization I had. The other little realization that I had, and I was pondering on, the second one about my own truths in midlife, was on my days where I'm not feeling my most sparkly and my most shininess, I will sometimes, my mind will wander me to the place where I will tell myself I'm not as far as along as I should be. And, whenever should is involved, the word should is involved, get very, very wary because that is usually not your beautiful voice of wisdom. It's your voice of judgment. And so on those days where this midlife body and these hormones are hopping and popping, or perhaps have left the building, I will be a little harsh on myself and say, you're not as far along as you should be. And yes, we can say, Emma, you teach this stuff. How does that happen? Because I'm human, because I am human. So that's another little misconception. I didn't quite think I would think about myself, but on those days I do. The other truth about getting to midlife is the changes that one's body goes through and the sleep impact that has been a little bit of a challenge from time to time. My energy levels, the extra weight, even though you know that I am all about body acceptance and body positive. But again, on those down days, I will sometimes allow myself to wander there and say, what happened? But most days I can pull myself out of that. But the self-image does change. The reflection does change. And these changes can leave us feeling like we're strangers in our own bodies. And I've actually heard a couple of my friends say, I get a little bit surprised when I see a photo of myself because I don't feel that way. And I feel if we can keep our energy in a really great place, and if we can keep the joy in our heart and love pulsing through our veins, we can withstand, accept, celebrate the next beautiful body that we are stepping into. And we can't stop it. I mean, that's the truth, right? The other reflection I had is my need in the past to have my foot on the gas all the time. And when I reflected about my busyness, and definitely now in midlife, I am putting in some serious practices to lower my cortisol levels and my stress levels, which is, I feel, another place that we get stuck. But I know I've been stuck on this loop and this roundabout with my foot on the gas, having to get as much stuff done in the least amount of time with a to-do list that is relentless. Yet I have to acknowledge some of that time I've been on autopilot, and I'd lost the inner spark. Even when I talk about the grief and the loss and perhaps missed opportunities where I was not savoring the moment, because having the foot on the gas really had me in this robotic next tick the list, keep going thing. So that's been another reflection for me that I didn't know was sitting in my heart and needed a little bit of love and tenderness to come out, and forgive myself for having my foot on the gas, particularly when I think of my children at school and the busy schedule and all the things that we had to do. And even Sonny, I remember when he was maybe about 8, he said to me, "Oh, you're not really one of those mumsy mums, are you?" And I said, "Oh, what's a mumsy mum?" And he said, "One of those mums that is at the school and is there helping and doing things." And I remember going, "Oh gosh, no, I'm not," because I was a working mum. I was always at work, and my mum helped me, and my mother-in-law helped me with the children, getting them to and from school, and after school care and vacation care. And there was this little part of me that thought, "Oh yeah, keeping my foot on the gas all those years, I may have missed some little sweetness of life, I guess." And this is a thing, even my podcast last week talking about contradiction, or the week before, excuse me, I am a walking, grieving, living contradiction, and being able to hold both of those. And I know when the kids were young, being able to hold both of those, I am a working mother, yet I want to be as present as I can be and not always getting it right. So being kind to ourselves, if you feel the same, how can we be kind to ourselves and say what is done is done? And I forgive myself for that. The other reflection around midlife that no one told me about was the fear of change. And the fear of change, even just recently, Husboss and I are talking about like our next move. We've renovated the house, and do we now sell it? And in the fear of change, making the wrong decision. What if I say yes and I want to sell the house, but then what if I regret it? What if I don't want to do that? So the fear of change and the fear of making the wrong decision can be quite paralyzing, and a belief that potentially it's too late or it's really hard to pivot and start something new. I mean, I have done that in my own evolution of business, even the yoga studio, selling the yoga studio and then pivoting, coming online and being in this online space and coaching and working, doing all of my workshops online. That was like, gosh, is it too late? And should I just keep the yoga studio? But I didn't, and I didn't make the wrong decision. However, I would be lying to you if I didn't have those thoughts. And now, faced with our next little chess move in life, do we sell the house or not? And not coming from a place that it will be wrong. I'm a big believer, stay in flow, things are fluid, good or bad, hard to say, like just keep going. The other little misconception or the little snag that I talk a lot about is I definitely had too many years of magazines and mainstream media in my life, and coming to the realization in midlife that yes, things have changed, I have changed, and still holding space and accepting that there is a narrative in our culture that says youth is still glorified. It is still very much glorified, and aging women are often invisibilized. So struggling with body image, with an increase with uh, the glorification. That's the only way I can probably put it, is the glorification of thinness, and knowing that thinness and youth is not the be all end. There is space for every age and every stage. And I will be shouting from the rooftops potentially for the next 30 years, my next 30 odd summers, talking about there is space for all of us. And I have a dear cousin, you will know my dear cousin Laurie. I talk about her often. She is a model with grey hair, and I love that there's space for her to do that. I've also got another dear friend who's stepping into that industry, and I know that there is, and I like to think there is change happening, but it's up to us midlife women to bloody keep showing up to ensure the change happens. The other part of my midlife journey, and potentially feeling stuck from time to time, is the disconnection from my intuition. From time to time, I have stopped listening to my inner wisdom. And there's a few reasons why that happens. I think it's having your foot on the gas and getting in a bit of autopilot and having a to-do list and a perceived overwhelm and a perceived sense of worry. But coming back home and connecting back into our intuition, I believe, helps all those areas of our life. So if I think about the past, Emma, and thinking about the journey that I've been on and the reasons why I've potentially felt stuck in midlife, it's definitely been that loss, grief, and heartache. It has been a fleeting, but sometimes not always fleeting, thought that I have unmet my dreams. I thought that I'd be further along by now. That's definitely been a little midlife theme for me, which I am working through and working with. But you've got to name it first to be able to let it go, right? And then, of course, going through the sleep stuff and the hormonal changes has another been a huge one. Years of foot on the gas has been another realization that I can continue doing that, or I cannot. Like this morning, my slow morning where I got up, I did my morning magic, met you all on morning magic. Thanks to those of you who joined this morning, where we done our yoga, our meditation, and our flowetry all in 21 minutes. And then I met my girlfriend. We had an ocean swim and then some journaling. And then there's still plenty of time in the day to do all the things. Also, like I mentioned, the fear of change and the fear of making the wrong decision. Let's not have that stop us, though, or keep us stuck. And too many years looking at magazines and social media, that has definitely been another part of my midlife healing, is letting go that youth and thinness is not up there with godly. And then disconnection from intuition, which brings me to what I have done. They're all the places where I've been stuck and I've been snagged. And then the realization, and I guess you could say the rerouting of my thoughts. I have a really strong belief that in this midlife phase, it's very much about mindset. It's about getting quiet and tuning in so you can hear your intuition. I'm a big believer in meditation or moving meditation, so you can actually hear your own voice of wisdom speak to you. And it's also about movement. So that's my ethos these days. Each day it's about mindset, meditation, and movement for me. And this, I believe, is the method or the methodology of the embodied woman, because I'm really here to share my journey. And also I want to be that woman that helps you reclaim your confidence, clarity, and energy in midlife. But how do we do that? How do we do that? I have created a fabulous 8-week workshop that I hold live on Zoom. And we journey for 8 weeks together, reclaiming our confidence, our clarity, and our energy. And yes, it's done through the mindset, the meditation, and the movement. So we can be all of those things that we want to be, as well as doing a bit of healing work and forgiveness work with the younger selves of us that we thought we were doing the right thing, but sometimes feel like we just haven't quite hit the mark, and we often feel a little bit stuck. And for the woman who is still caught in some of these thought patterns that I don't know what step to make next. I'm feeling grief. I'm feeling sad. I feel like my life potentially, is this it? Is this it? Is this all there is? Come and join me for the Embodied Woman. Let's reclaim our confidence, clarity, and energy together. So during that beautiful workshop, over 8 weeks, we really do go on an unfolding and a rewiring, but mostly it's the community and the connection. And I talk about lots of different topics, but what I love about this workshop, I don't just talk at you. We do the how, but how do I do that, Emma? How would I do that? So we start to let go of outdated thoughts. In the Embodied Woman 8-week journey, we really do release those thoughts that potentially are there and we didn't even know we had them. So the biggest realization for me around that was me having the foot on the gas and then going, oh, but foot on the gas for me equaled numbing and dumbing out, not feeling like it was easy to be busy. Then the practice of lowering our stress levels. Those of us who have been in a role or in a position where we are just used to vibrating at a level that is off the Richter scale, so our cortisol levels are high, our nervous system is wide and fried. How do we calm our nervous system down? How do we think clearly and feel calm? Because I believe that's where clarity comes from. If we can just lower our stress levels, not if we can just lower our stress levels, because it's not as easy as that. I support you and hold a beautiful container of accountability. So together we all lower our stress levels. Also healing our relationship with ourself. I'm all about having a better relationship with your body and yourself, because from that we have better relationships with people in our life. We begin to trust ourselves again. Also shifting from what we think we should do to our priority list being much more balanced. So letting go of the pressure and the worry and the overwhelm and focusing on what really matters to you. We spend a lot of time looking at what really matters to you in the Embodied Woman workshop. And of course, tapping into your intuition. And this is a practice. Your intuition really is like a muscle that we work out, just like as if we go to the gym or build a muscle. Your intuition is very much like that, because the more that you trust it and listen to it, the more you can hear it, as well as doing other practices like releasing some of the overwhelm and releasing some of the worry in our life or the heartache. We're able to hear this beautiful intuition again. And of course, the joy of movement and connection with our body. So in the Embodied Woman, we do lots of beautiful, soulful practice around, and you would know this by now, yoga is my love language. I am such a yoga woman, but I really enjoy yoga for the fact that it helps you connect in with your body again. And the yoga philosophy is great with your mindset as well. It drops in some beautiful, guess you could say, some truths, or as we say, it's a philosophy, some laws that help you connect into your own truth. So if this speaks to your heart and you have felt stuck, you have felt irritated, pissed off, annoyed, bored, or asking those questions like I certainly have, which is this all that's it? Or maybe I haven't hit my top note yet. I still haven't quite achieved everything that I want to. Or maybe you're feeling like relationships are in disarray. Or maybe your relationship with yourself is in tatters and pieces. Come and join me for the Embodied Woman 8-week workshop. I can assure you, all of the women that have come through 8-week workshops with me, and it's not me, it's just dedicating an hour to yourself or 2 hours to yourself a week and having a bit of a formula and a recipe that you can tap into and it feels with ease and effortless. That is the key to you building that better relationship with yourself again. So calling all women, it actually starts on the 1st of May. The sign up, please, you'll see in the show notes here, there will be a sign up. Email me there'll be my email there. So let me know if you're interested, and then I can send you the sign up details and have a chat with you. Even if you just want to have a chat and go, I'm not sure if this is for me or not, reach out. But what have you got to lose, my darling? It is time spent on yourself and with yourself in community. Only good can come from it, I promise you. Also, what else is coming up in the near future is India again. Of course, there'll be India, November, Kerala. The wait list is open. So not to confuse you, the wait list doesn't mean it's full. The wait list means we are filling the wait list, and then when our final itinerary comes out, which will be in 2 weeks, 2 weeks, you'll be able to have the option to meet with myself and Yogi Louie and have a little chat and see if it's something that you'd like to join us on. Anyway, my darlings, thank you for listening. Go forth and have a gorgeous day. And I hope that you can join me for the Embodied Woman course or any retreats that we have coming up, because together we are stronger. Women in midlife, it's just such a beautiful time to find your community and find your people, because we are of great value to each other. Thank you, my darlings. Calling all of my midlife women, I have got a very simple yet profound workshop happening next week, Getting Unstuck from Overwhelm to Clarity. I'll be sharing some very simple yet profound tools to help you get unstuck. So if you are ready to make some change, take some action, and maybe get some inspiration, come and join me. There is a link in the show notes, and I look forward to connecting with you very soon.